Am I wrong for leaving my friend stranded after he mocked the worst day of my life? He says I'm too sensitive, that I cost him money he doesn't have. But he's the one who looked me in the eye and laughed about the moment I thought I was going to lose my wife forever. It's an image that will never leave me. A memory burned into my mind. My wife and I are avid hikers. We've spent years exploring treacherous terrain together. We're experienced, we're careful, but sometimes the mountain doesn't care. A few years ago, we were on a 14-hour route in the Chicago Basin. It was beautiful, brutal, and unforgiving. On the descent, it happened. One wrong step, a slip, and she was gone. She fell, not far, but into a position so precarious, so terrifying, that my blood ran cold. She was perched on a narrow cliff edge, just below the drop site. I couldn't reach her. I couldn't get her up. And for one split second, a single, horrifying moment that stretched into an eternity, I thought I was going to watch her fall to her death. The fear on her face, that's the part that haunts me. The absolute, primal terror. It's a look you never forget. Now, let me be clear. My wife has never, not for 1 second, blamed me for what happened. We're a team. She's a sturdy, strong woman and I'm not the strongest guy. It wasn't just about pure strength. There was no safe way for me to get to her and pull her up from where I was. I couldn't get to her from the side, or from below. It was a technical problem, a nightmare scenario. Hours went by. Hours of her clinging to that ledge while I frantically tried to figure out what to do, my heart pounding in my throat. Thankfully, another hiker came through. He had more gear, more upper body strength, and together, we were able to get her out. It was a combination of things that saved her. But in my mind, the story is simpler. I couldn't save her. I failed. And that feeling, it lives with me every single day. Fast forward to last week. We're at a brewery with some friends. The vibe is good, just a normal night out. One of our friends starts talking about a trip he's planning. A big one. The Como Road up to the Blanca and Little Bear Traverse. It's a beast of a hike, and my wife and I did it a while back, so I started offering some advice, just trying to be helpful. I'm telling him about a tricky section, what to look out for. And that's when it happened. For absolutely no reason at all, he cuts me off. He looks right at me, a huge, smug grin spreading across his face, and he says it. Okay, bro, I'm not taking advice from a man who left his wife to rot on sunlight. The air went out of the room. My wife immediately snapped back, that is not what happened and you know it. But I couldn't speak. I was just stunned. Frozen. He thought it was hilarious. He was still grinning, looking around as if he'd just delivered the world's greatest punchline. This wasn't just a joke. It was cruel. He took my single greatest fear, my deepest insecurity, this traumatic memory that I live with, and he turned it into a cheap shot. A way to get a laugh. I didn't know what to say. The words wouldn't come. All I could feel was this cold, hollow shock. I stood up, pretending I was going to get another drink from the bar. But I just kept walking. Past the bar, through the door, and out into the cold night air. I just needed to breathe. A minute later, my wife came out to find me. She asked if I was okay. I wasn't. I was shaking. I told her I just wanted to go home. So she drove us home. Here's where the story takes a turn. Our friend, the one who made the comment, was expecting a ride home from us. We were his designated drivers for the night. And in my haze of shock and hurt, I didn't say a word to him. I didn't text him. I didn't announce we were leaving. I just left. I abandoned him at the brewery. It wasn't long before my phone started blowing up. First, a text. Where the fuck did you go, bro? Then another. Bro, why are you ignoring me? I finally answered, asking him why on earth he would say something like that. Why would he bring up the accident when he knows how much it affects me? His response wasn't an apology. It wasn't remorse. It was a series of emojis. The ones pointing and laughing. Just a stream of digital mockery. Then came the justification. He said my hypersensitivity just cost him a lot of money. He's out of work right now, and the Uber he had to get home was expensive. He told me I needed to nut up and learn how to laugh at myself. Laugh at myself. As if the memory of my wife clinging to a cliff for hours is something to chuckle about over a beer. The thing is, this isn't him. Or, it's not the him I thought I knew. He's not usually one of those, bro, guys. He's always been a decent friend. And I'm not the kind of person who just ditches someone I promised a ride to. I feel a sense of guilt about that part. I know it was a bad thing to do. But when he said what he said, it was like a switch flipped. The casual cruelty of it, the fact that he found humor in my terror, it was a profound betrayal. He wasn't just making a joke. He was mocking my pain. He was mocking my love for my wife and my fear of losing her. And then, when called on it, he had the audacity to blame me for the consequences. He tried to make me the bad guy because his cruelty had a price tag. My reaction was pure instinct. A flight response from a situation that felt incredibly hostile and personal. Leaving him there wasn't a calculated act of revenge, it was an act of self-preservation. I couldn't be in the same room with him. I couldn't pretend everything was okay. And I certainly couldn't sit in a car with him after he had so carelessly ripped open one of my deepest wounds. He says I owe him money for the ride. He says I need to get over it. But I don't think I can. I keep replaying it in my head. His smiling face. The laughter in his eyes. He wasn't just clueless, he was enjoying it. He enjoyed hurting me. And that's a realization that changes everything. This person I called a friend saw my vulnerability not as something to respect, but as a target for a joke. And when the joke didn't land, he doubled down, calling me weak for having the feelings he worked so hard to provoke. So yes, I left him stranded. And yes, it cost him money he can't really afford to lose. But what was the alternative? To sit there and take it? To swallow that poison and then drive him home, pretending that our friendship hadn't just been shattered? He wanted me to laugh at myself, but what he was really asking was for me to agree that my trauma is funny. That my wife's life or death situation is a punchline. And I will never, ever do that. There's a line between friends teasing each other and outright cruelty, and he sprinted across it with a smile on his face. Leaving him at that brewery might have been a jerk move in a vacuum, but his comment created the vacuum. He poisoned the air, and I just needed to get out. Maybe I should have sent a text, a simple, "We're leaving. You crossed a line. Find another ride." But in that moment, all I could think about was getting away from him and the ugly thing he had just revealed about his character. When a friend weapons your deepest trauma against you for a cheap laugh, are they still your friend? Or was leaving him stranded the only language he would ever understand?